was never even supposed to be about money. It's just something that kind of happened.
Right.
And it's most people, like, no one tells you when your kids say they want to be an artist or an actor or something. What do most parents say? Oh,
There's
become
no
an
money
engineer.
in it.
Become an engineer. There's no money in that shit, right?
Become doctor.
And that was before AI and all this stuff. So it's always been a reality. So I feel like people are just like trying to pick a fight with something that it's like
It's just more of the same.
More of the
It's
same
more
shit. But I mean, like but kind of touching on the subject, because like you know, like you said, you're an electrical engineer. I do my own thing. Sane has his own thing. Like we all have our like lives that we go. Like why, for you, like why do you make music? Like why do you spend your time doing that? Why do you? And then of course, like I feel like the music video part's an easier part to answer, but like I feel like the deeper question is why do you make music?
The golden path is the path of survival. It is the path that ensures the survival of humankind. It is a path that requires sacrifices and difficult choices, but it is the only path that leads to the preservation of the human race.
Let's see. I'm a huge Dune fan.
Yo, everybody. How's it going? It's Techa Monkey Logik, number 10. Back at it here with Stormcrow and Space Logic. And you all know me already. How's everybody doing today?
I can just tell you that Techa Monkey just got hung all over your tongue. But
yeah, I've been talking.
You pulled through. You pulled through. That's the good part. You pulled through.
My tongue is tired today.
So yeah, thank you for joining us. And this is our number 10th podcast. And for the number 10th podcast, we have Jim Stormcrow.
Hey, everybody.
Some people know him, and some will get to know him tonight. And Jim, I'm going to turn the platform to you. Just you let us know who you are.
Okay. All right. Well, if you ever need to find me, I'll repeat it at the end, Stormcrow_JE on most of the platforms that at least I'm active on. So X is the big one for me. A music and video producer, at least, during the nighttime. I'm an electrical engineer by day, but you're not going to hear about anything about that on this podcast. So, I got into, I've been a musician for, since about 13 years old, and I'm not exactly 13 anymore. Got into music heavily, I'd say about, it was 2020. It was by the time the pandemic was in full swing, somewhere around November of that time. I said, "Oh my God, I've been flirting with trying to learn how to produce music my whole life here. I played in cover bands and stuff like that. And I had a digital recorder when I was younger. The first generation of digital recorders. And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna just like pick a DAW because I've been learning about this stuff or like looking at it on YouTube for years." And I said, "I'm gonna pick a DAW. I'm gonna start learning how to produce music, and I'm just gonna use it every day." At the time, with my day job and us, everyone being at home, I was at the office every day, and there was not 8 hours worth of work to do. So I put in a minimum of 1 hour every day on FL Studio and did that for a couple of years. And honestly, it was more like a minimum of 3 hours a day, if not more. And there was something about right before I got to releasing my first single that next February of 21, I said, I'm going to make myself a promise. Every major piece of music I release, I'm going to do a music video for. No matter how good or bad it is, I said, if I have something really significant to say with a single, because we're not going to pump an album at a time out. There's no way I can do it with the family and kids and all that. I'm going to make a music video for each one. So the whole reason I'm mentioning that is because it obviously factors in that eventually AI came along, and I struggled through doing my first 2 or 3 videos. It was a great time. I mean, I had an awesome time making my first 2. They were completely, let's call it analog. But it was a fun experience, but it was a long time. Well, Halloween's here, and Fillmore's going to kick it off. I started working on this back in February as a little tribute to anyone who's had great video game music stuck in their head since childhood.
Continuing adventures of
First 2 videos, I think, I spent 2 months working on one, 3 or 4 months working on another one. It was big, and there was a lot of time spent in it. Then Midjourney was around version 3, and I took a break from doing anything music in that August. I think that was August of 21 about. And I said, oh my God, I know what this thing is doing. I knew enough technically to kind of figure out, oh, wait, if it's this good now and it just came out, imagine what it's going to be like in X number of months. And we're here. We're already way past what I was imagining anyway. And it was usable within a couple months, to at least, arguably the 3rd video I put out was still images animated for Midjourney version 3 and 4. And I've been hooked ever since. In trying to integrate AI every time I do a music video. And both of the music and the video portion of it, they're now competing with each other. And also I've just broken the format because, okay, I don't have to put out a genuine bona fide single every time I put a piece of music out now, or I don't have to put out a full video. Just start doing a shotgun, start throwing a bowl of spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So let's see. Off the top of my head, I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Is it 2.5 years? Holy crap!
Yeah, man.
I can't
think it's
believe
almost
that. What I'm
3,
talking about.
Yeah, I think you're almost on 3 years of doing this pretty consistently.
Wow. So, I mean, with all this AI stuff going on, time's been flying. And I've been having a great time doing it. And then every time a new tool comes along, you can decide whether you want to stop and take a look at it or let that one go by.
Yeah.
And, well, at least what got us all here is neural frames.
Yeah,
and
that is very true. That's very true.
That's why I got the squirrel shirt on today, right? So
Great
what was
Lord
that?
Savior,
I think let's see. The good story for me with neural frames is I put out a video that the creator Dilbert Scott Adams, I guess you guys are at least both familiar with him, right?
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up Scott Adams during this. It was one of my questions for you, but go ahead. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we'll fill out whatever you need, right? I'm a big fan of his. I started trying to do talent stacking. One of his concepts that he likes to push on people is that you're more valuable every time you add a single little talent to your stack. So what is all this music production stuff or audio and video production stuff and all these AI tools? Each little tool that comes out is a piece for your talent stack. So I heard him drumming one day, I think it was last November, and he shared it with all his followers. He said, "Hey, this is actually unusually good here. Let me show you guys what I was drumming on." And he says, "I don't even know what meter it's in. It was a 6/4 beat, which, a little uncommon, right?" And I said, wait a minute. That's a song right there. That whole thing.
The other day, I was in my man cave, sat down with my electric drum kit, and started playing around. And if you don't know, I'm at the beginner level of drumming skill. Suddenly something started coming out of my drumming that almost didn't feel like it came from me, because it was way better than I know how to drum. So when it started, I thought it's above my ability and I seem to be able to do it. And I'm not talking like a little bit above my ability. It was more like twice as good as my current ability. So much so that I don't think I could do it if I sat down to try it right now. Pacing and leading. Something happened. Pacing and leading. Almost magical. Pacing and leading. Felt like the divine pacing and leading channeling through me for a moment. Pacing and leading. Something happened. Pacing and leading. Almost magical. Pacing and leading.
That whole thing's a song. And he says, I called my composition Pacing and Leading. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me make a demo out of this. So in 1 hour, I put together like a 2-minute demo of the song with his drum beat and just put some synthesizer under it and threw some Midjourney images, put a little zoom on them, put a couple filters on them in Filmora, made a demo in about an hour, showed it to him. Well, posted it on X and, linked them up. And then the next day he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And he played it for his audience. And there was a great response from it. And I said, okay, fine. If you like that, the single's coming out next week. And I said, holy crap, I got to make a single by next week. But I knew enough from executing little stuff before then to know that, okay, no, I already have enough. I have enough base material here. I can do a single in a week out of this. He liked this part. They didn't have any feedback for what they didn't like. So I said, I'll just take this 1.5 minutes, make it 3 minutes, and I'll have him speaking, and it'll be fun. I made that. It came out great. The Pacing and Leading single. Oh, so find me on Spotify, Pacing and Leading, featuring Scott Adams, right?
Yeah, the YouTube video is amazing too. That's actually what made me discover you the first time.
Really?
I saw
no,
you.
wait a minute.
Well, yeah, because we chatted a little bit in the Neuroframes. Like I would see you come up, and I saw some other things you're posting, but then you posted that, and I stopped. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?" No, for real. No, I'm not joking. That's why I was going to ask you about Scott Adams. I was like, "Who the heck is Scott Adams, actually?" Who is this man? Because that was amazing, that collaboration. And I've DM'd you about a lot of your music actually, that I've been kind of going through.
So Jim, is that the video I'm thinking you're talking about? Is Something Magical Just Happened?
Yeah, you got it. That's one of the the repetitive thing in the chorus.
Well, the message of that song is so deep to me because it starts off, and I haven't even listened to it recently. I just have it burned in my memory where he's like, I was drumming, and then all of a sudden it didn't even feel like me anymore. What was happening didn't feel like I was able to do this, but I was doing it. Something along those lines, right? I'm not saying it verbatim, but that's the message. And dude, that
you got it.
Resonates with me very heavily because I feel like that all the time when I'm doing anything. Music.
Only because there's Joe Satriani, and he's a hero of mine as far as guitar goes and all that. I played him in the talent show when I was 17 and stuff like that, right? But I was like, oh, I don't want to be just another J with an Italian last name. So I was like, oh, I guess I need to take the ultimate, the ultimate narcissistic plunge and give myself a moniker.
No, Stormcrow is definitely a viable moniker, definitely.
Yeah. Oh well, it works. I love for some reason I love the color scheme I started picking. I was like, I love purple. Wait a minute, I love dark light greenish teal. And okay, a little bit of iridescence, and then I put iridescent in everything I do now.
Yeah, that's your superhero name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just time, dedication, effort, vision, love.
Yep. Yeah, even the best. A lot of the speakers. I mean, we probably think that they've experienced everything, but as humans, there's a lot of things people don't get to experience till to see it. Somebody shows it to them. I mean, I see something new every day. The style, the way you work through your projects.
Sure.
Just kind of like what goes in your mind. What's the light bulb that goes out and you're looking at something, a perspective that develops. Kind of just walk us through that.
Sure. This is probably a great thing for me to talk about anyway, because I'm always trying to systematize, at least for myself, what I'm doing. Because if you can define a system for what you're doing, making a song, making a music video, making, what's your starting kernel, what's your starting vector, and what do you hope to accomplish, and what's the straight line path, or what kind of path can you take to that? Very similar to what you can imagine latent space being if you start with a seed and you say, I want to give me this concept, and we're going to direct our way towards this concept as we go through steps on an imaging model, or a diffuser model. So I started out, the best example is to say I've got a whole music track then, that I already have a story or some kind of 3-minute story that I want to illustrate, because I've already made the hopefully powerful music to go along with video. So I usually will start that way. So let's, I won't belabor the point of the music, I guess, because no, I'm less well versed in that. But visually, I could tell you, I already got the story in mind. Great place to start with that is usually some concept image generation, and that's something I found myself and others talking a lot about when Midjourney version 3 was out. Is that I kept on telling people you can become your own storyboard artist now.
Yeah.
And that was definitely how I thought about it in the beginning. I still do it, but I take it for granted now. Is that I would never have to go to anybody anymore to be like, well, can you give me like images of a hero with a cape and a green background and a silhouette? No, that's exactly like if you get 12 or so terms of something about like, well, I got a vision of this and this and that. Just enter those 12 terms into a Midjourney prompt and you're off and running. So for most of the music videos I'm doing, I'm generating tons of images, whatever my Midjourney subscription allows usually, or in Stable Diffusion if I'm feeling cheap that week. And I'm trying to get a couple different themes down. For me, it's usually about, I know myself by now. I'm gravitating toward color schemes, which is why I'm always using heavy color lights on stuff. Like the studio is always going to be like this until I get tired of this color. So okay, this quarter of the video, or let's say you need two or three ideas to like flesh out a song for 3 minutes, and then if you alternate between the three, that gives you a whole music video. So that's after 2 years, I can say that's usually what I'm going for. 2, 3, 4 main ideas, concepts, the color scheme or the heavy elements that will identify to them to the viewer when you're going to be seeing it over the course of 3 minutes. So I think of it as like you're going to juggle 3 balls in the air and show them that you can do this for 3 minutes. The extra pretentious way I like to think about it is that all songs are spells, and you're a magician, and you are taking 3 minutes to cast a spell that at the end it's cast, or while you're casting the spell, whoever you're giving the video to is under the effect of the spell. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. That's I fucking love it. I love thinking about stuff like that. So I mean, what hypnotic trance am I going to put someone in for 3 minutes? That's literally the question I'm going to be asking myself if I have a heavy enough song that I'm considering making a video for. So there's your concepts, and then moving into the execution phase, I can tell you, since I was thinking about it a lot this week, I'm going to be putting out a Neural Frames video that is a how-to of how I made one of my recent videos. And you've got all those concepts. For example, if I took one concept, one of those 4 types of shots, say it's all me as the subject in purple, I'm going to take 100 of those images, 50 of those images that I got from Midjourney, put it into, say, a Neural Frames training. Then run that through for the song all the way through, all 3 minutes, and have fun with it, experiment with the camera angles, do a hard cut, do 1 whole minute of just start on one starting image and just see where it goes. A great example of that is you can see about half of Prisoner Island, that you mentioned earlier, that second Scott Adams song I did. That's got 2 or 3 sequences where I just sat down one night. I think Deep Surface was on the community chat on Neural Frames with me, and I just said, "All right, I want to zoom into the prison," and I babysat the render for 20 minutes.
I was there that night for a bit.
Yeah.
Not for all of it, but I popped in for like 30 minutes and watched you. It was really cool.
I was there for quite a bit too. Yeah, I watched that too.
Okay, well that was a really good night.
Yeah, it was.
No,
it
was dope. I wasn't even trying to be there. I just got stuck watching you. It
Okay,
was really
so
interesting.
good. So it's like I remembered. All right, good. So anyway, I do know cribbing a little bit from what I've picked up about movie production or television production, which I have zero experience in. Is that you need plenty of footage, so some of it can wind up on the cutting room floor. So to my point with Neural Frames, run through Neural Frames until you've got tons of footage. Run through Midjourney until you've got tons of stills in case you want to do something to the stills. Run it through, so if there's talking, you have your narrators, your speakers. I use a lot of spoken word, and that's another topic we'll cover in a couple minutes, I guess. But I run that through HeyGen or 11 Labs to give me some B-roll of the people speaking. Or do I want a little narrator in the top corner? Do I want an artificial voice saying something on top of it? Do I want to add a little bit more to the song in post? That sort of thing. But basically, use whatever tools are calling to me during that phase. Is it Pika this week? Is it Runway this week? To animate some of those concepts. Neural Frames currently takes the bulk of the work for most videos, right? And at the end, you've got this giant mass of stuff you're kind of like holding. And then I started falling in love with either Filmora or particularly DaVinci Resolve. And that I usually do a ton of post-processing. And then once we got something viable, 3 minutes long and almost completed, run it through a couple times, do a penultimate draft. I usually do the great thing where you name the file like, the Stolen Journals, final, penultimate draft.
I do the same shit. I know what you mean.
And I got all these cutesy names for shit, and it just is like, okay, well, that's the final one, because I remember that. Last thing is usually a run it through an upscaler. I use Topaz Video AI almost religiously now. I'm in love with 60 frames a second and what it does as a gloss to everything I put out. Resolution's not so much with me because I'm usually on X, so I just aim for 1080p usually. And there, I mean, you got yourself a video after all, following all those things I just rattled off. But that's pretty typical workflow.
But yeah, but here's my other question, like,
please.
So for the viewers, like some people may think like, this with the AI, it's expedited the stuff and it's just a quick and easy way people go. No. We all have seen YouTube videos, the cut and paste, the generic AI videos. We all see it, right? But the ones that actually take the work, like, give us an approximate, time frame that it takes you for a project.
Yeah. So there's my billable hours if I'm doing a project for somebody, but then there's the time it actually takes to do it. And if I was doing it by the billable hours only, I don't think I'd be do many commissions. It usually winds up as a passion project. Almost every single thing I do winds up being like, well, if I put the kids to bed early, or if I get Mrs. Stormcrow to put them to bed like she is tonight, then maybe I can get about 3 hours in before I collapse, and I won't be too tired at work tomorrow. So, God, I mean, let's see, pacing and leading. I did that in a week, but that is at least, I mean, that's at least 20 hours worth of work, if not more. For if you watch
if
pacing
you're
and
just
leading.
sitting down and doing it, but
Yeah.
that is 20 hours across the time you can extract the hours on which
Yes.
days.
Yeah, and it's definitely smeared on like Vegemite. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's something worth noting about the whole process, right? Especially with the music. I've got Bluetooth, I've got a decent stereo in my car, and I've got a half-hour commute to and from work every single day, and I've got a lunch break where I take about 15 minutes to and from the Panera Bread, right? If I'm working on a piece of music, that piece of music, the rough draft MP3 of whatever, pacing and leading _7. Well, when I go into work, it's 7. When I go to lunch, it's 8. When I go to come back, go home, it's 9. And it's just the counter comes up every single time, and I work on it a little bit. I was like, oh fuck, the cymbals. Got to remember that when I get back to the job. I'm listening to that music on repeat, smelling my own musical farts for hours, and it's kind of like found time because
you can't calculate it.
Yeah,
it's just whenever you have that moment.
See, that is really good because even the ones you do commission for, now they can see like the billable and the actual passion you're putting to the work.
You fit in what you can when you can.
Yep.
And I know what times of day are good for certain things now. At work, I fit in every little thing that I can, but Mid-Journey is a really easy thing to be like, iridescent glows, Raven, purple Raven, go ahead, do it, and come back and there's 10 things generated even on slow mode.
So, second question.
Please.
Does your wife enjoy your music videos?
She does, but this is definitely my thing.
Like her critique on the art form.
Oh, she's a smart lady. She knows it. She knows and appreciates that there's work going into it. She knows how much time I'm either away from her or I'm up while she's asleep with the kids. So she's a good supporter, but to give you an idea, I covered a Joe Satriani song for her when we first met, and it's his one like ballad. It's always with me, always with you, and I gave her a cover of that for like our engagement or something like that. And she was like, "Oh, this is so sweet." And then I said, "Well, do you want to go see Joe Satriani with me next summer?" And next summer rolls around, and she's like, "Yeah, I want to see him." And I took her to Joe Satriani, and the first couple notes that he comes out, and he goes, "Let's fucking rock," and he dive bomb on the guitar, and she's looking at me like, "Oh, I thought most of his songs were like the one you made for me." I'm like, "Oh no, honey, buckle up. We're gonna have a long couple hours here."
Oh my god, that's amazing.
That's good. That's really good.
So I think that's the best possible service I could give to Mrs. Stormcrow is that. She appreciates it, but from afar.
You and me, we're going to love our projects because we are kind of, molded into it. So.
I don't know. That's why I call it sniffing your own farts. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I was actually going to comment on that, but I wanted to go. But that was a very.
Oh, no, you can let that one go. Yeah.
No, but that I like the humility, like smelling my own farts, trying to make it right, listen to it. But that's really good.
Yeah, it's good to share that stuff with your partners, because especially when you were married for a long time or something, because they'll also tell you when your farts stink. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
my wife is very good at that. I'll show her something. I'll be like, "Isn't this amazing?" She's like, "Were you drinking when you made this?"
Oh,
I'm
really?
like,
That's great.
"Maybe." She's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you might want to look at it again." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." I'll go back,
Yeah.
look at it again. Oh shit, she's right. All right, let me clean this up. This is all overblown here. Like community to kind of show that.
Yes.
You know, I literally bonded with Saint by showing him a bunch of stuff that he said sucked, and I thought was good, right? And it's like it was like, "Hey
Sure.
man, here's like 20 songs, you can have them." And he's like, "I don't want any of them." And I was like, "What do you mean you don't want any of them?" And then we started going back and forth, and he's like, "Well, you know, this is the kind of things I look for. Like, can you do this?" And I was like, "Well, I never thought about it. I could try." And then I started learning shit, ChatGPTing some questions on how to do stuff in my DAW that I never even
Perfect.
tried to do. You know, like. And
I'll
just,
tell
yeah,
you one thing, Jim.
every day.
He surprised the crap out of me. But when he came with those 2 tracks and I listened to him, I said, "All right, hold on," because I wanted to really pay attention. First run,
Mhm.
second run, I'm like, "What did you do?" It's like you just did a 360. Like I said, I can't even tell you how good it is. And he kind of like went silent for a while. I'm like, "Oh my god, what happened? What happened?" But yeah, he really surprised the crap out of me, and I think that was when we really became friends at that time.
Sure. Sure.
And he actually worked on the White Project with, and you know, he's been kind of pushing me, and that's become like our project now. It was started me, but now it's our project because
Oh no, creative partnerships are very, very helpful.
Everybody, like, I'm meeting, like, especially you, Jim, like, because I told you the other day, like, I wasn't even looking at your music videos. I was on YouTube Music or Spotify, I can't remember, and I just
Sure.
like I just hit shuffle on your playlist, you know, and just hit shuffle. I was like, "Show me some songs." I'm working, and dude, I got distracted. I could not work. I was just like listening to that shit. Like,
Right.
I was
Thanks,
like,
man.
"What the fuck?" And I know some of the songs I was listening to were kind of like not older, but not super recent.
Sure.
Page 409. Most civilization is based on cowardice. It's so easy to civilize by teaching cowardice. You water down the standards, which would lead to bravery. Most civilization is based on cowardice.
These days, because I know the answer in the past is probably no, but these days, are you playing more with like the AI music stuff? Because I know you don't necessarily need to, right? That's like, but it's
No,
more like.
valid question though. Valid question. I'm playing with the AI stuff more because it's getting better, and I certainly remember 2 years ago when I reference everything to Midjourney version 3 because that was my starting point. So I'm going to continue to do that throughout this entire thing.
that's perfectly fine.
At the time, I saw what they were trying to do with music, and I said, "Oh, well, this is not ready for anything yet." Compared to what I know, if I could see what they were doing with images, and I said, "Okay, well, they're going to get there with music. It's just not there yet." And lo and behold, here we are. Especially since Udio hit the market. Well, not the market, the beta of Udio hit the ground. Suno version 3 really started liking it. Even version 2 usable, right?
Yeah, but no, 3 changed my opinion on all of it. I kind of poo-pooed a lot of the
3.5.
AI. Yeah, I poo-pooed a lot of the AI stuff until Suno 3, and
Sure.
then I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
At 2, I was kind of like, okay, yes, you know, something exists, you know. But
Yeah.
3 kind of start, you know, because I could really make ambient music for my videos.
Sure. It's a little equivalent though, where I could tell with, say, Midjourney wound up being so good with so few knobs and dials that it was usable from almost the start. Whereas, let's say, for instance, Automatic 1111, the Stable Diffusion implementation, I found that pretty usable, and it had a lot of knobs for me, but the quality wasn't there for a while, so, I stuck with Midjourney. But I loved the fact that, oh my God, people are making control nets, and people are, they're doing open pose, and they're trying to do video, and I really gravitated towards the forum when it first came out, even though I didn't do much with it. In fact, I'm sitting on stuff for a single that is like, it's going to be so fucking great when I finally get it out. but it's an animation I made like two years ago now that needs to see the light of day because it was in the forum and the forum did such magical things to it. I'm digressing here, but
no, I get it, dude. I get it, and I'm glad that you haven't like given up on those things. You know, I feel like we live in an age where. Well, no, but that's amazing. Like, I feel like we live in an age where people are like, if it's not like right in front of them that week, they like move on, forget about it, throw it in the trash, like never think about it again. Like, it has to be like the front and center stuff always, you know. And it's like, no, you can work on something that's a year old, you know. Like, why not?
Well, here's another thing. I got into computers through my father way back, like 1987, 88, and I got introduced to the DOS prompt, and then Windows 3.1 came out, and then we got Windows 3.1. But I was still launching stuff from DOS. You know, I played X-Wing.
Oh, wow. Nice.
The entire concept of the fact that you're technically starting on something that isn't graphical is, you know, that's a boost for people that started with it because they'll always know inherently that, oh, this is a file system that's laid on top of this machine that I don't know what it's doing. Well, fine, but like you at least get introduced to the level of abstraction that you have here. It's like, oh, the file explorer icon represents things. You know, it's not just, oh, these are files. It gives you a little bit of chance to get deeper with it, I guess. Well, if you're adopting this stuff early, you get all that stuff baked in to your head when new things come out. Now, sure, it primes you to think of stuff differently when it comes out, but overall, I mean, I think it's an overwhelming advantage that you put a little seat time in here with this stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to even put it in words. I mean, because I'm only looking at the potential of my case use, right?
Sure.
And everybody else is looking at their case use. So yeah, I was at work solving issues with it.
Yeah, already.
And then the guys are like, how did you figure that out? I said, I'll tell you later.
No, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like at work, same thing, dude. I'm very open about it for years. I've been using the GPT stuff since like 2017 when it was like horrible.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, dude. I used it when it was trash, but I thought it was so magical. Like I used to play this thing called AI Dungeon back in like 2017, 2018, and you would play like it was ChatGPT basically, but like
okay.
You would write like story, like a prompt of a story, not even a full prompt, just like a sentence, like an action, like D&D, like, oh, I walked through the door, and then the AI would respond to you, oh, there's a secret agent like in that car over there, and then you go, oh, I pull out my gun, and then it just responds, and it's just back and forth, and I was like, and it was horrible, it wasn't even good. I was in love with it, dude. I could not believe my eyes. So I've just ever since then, I've just constantly been pushing it. I've literally been like progressing at my company because of this stuff. I have no degree.
You mentioned, yes.
No business doing this type of stuff. But it's like I wish I could just do the art stuff, of course. But I mean, even if you leave the art world, the potentials to just get things done is like it's
for the time being. You should stick on that and keep on riding that horse.
Yeah, man.
That is great for you.
I literally am just like I am in the art communities. When I go to work, I'm the same person. I literally go, hey, have you heard of AI? Have you tried using it for emails? Have you tried using it to read your emails and maybe understand a problem that you know would take you maybe 30 minutes to read all of that? You could just like pop it into Copilot, and which is our approved GPT, and then you know, just get that stuff kind of summarized for you in bullet points. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly what the question is, who asked it, who caused the problem, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. But but just to be honest with you, it's hard to get people on board. It's been like pulling teeth, man.
If they're not willing, they're not going to do it. They have to decide that they want to do it.
It's been happening more every day, a little bit at a time. But I've literally been working at it for like 2 years straight, trying to get people aware of it.
Yeah, I'm done trying to get people into 3D printing anymore. You know, my cousin has an unused machine. My nephew has an unused machine. It's like, well, I have an unused machine too. So
send it to me. I'll use it. I'll come up with projects. I do soldering and stuff. I don't know. I'm always doing weird shit. 3D printing is great. I have friends who do it. I have some minis from 3D printing.
I've actually stopped preaching about it, but I will disprove what they don't know about the AI and the workflow. That I'm ready to do, but preaching, I'm too busy for that.
Make music. Like, why do you spend your time doing that? Why do you? And then, of course, like, I feel like the music video part's an easier part to answer, but like, I feel like the deeper question is, why do you make music?
Let's see. I'm a huge Dune fan.
I know the pain and suffering. The golden path is not just about survival. It is about the evolution of
Like, very large Dune fan.
Me too. Me too.
And I want to tell those stories. And Warner Brothers, don't shoot me. I am so in love with the 6 books by Frank Herbert that it's literally helping me express myself to be able to try to tell those stories. And I have the convenient affliction of liking the 4th book, which is the God Emperor of Dune. And it's the one that, I think if Denis Villeneuve keeps on making Dune movies, there's still a good chance he'll stop at Children of Dune and not go to the 4th book, because we're talking about a God Emperor that's a space worm, And
Idaho can make women orgasm just by being a fucking dope.
You saw that meme too? Yeah, great.
I read it.
Yeah.
I read the.
Oh,
I read that part of the book.
It.
I literally had to reread it 3 times, being like, "Is that what Frank Herbert just wrote right now?"
Yes. Well, yeah, the horny space nuns versus the chaste space nuns. Yes, I know. Yeah. But that book, the entire series. I mean, I'm in my humble brag, like 7th or 8th read through right now of the entire series. Like I live and breathe this for some reason. I feel like it's almost like it's almost like a religion, a way to live, almost like.
No, dude. Frank Herbert was
he was something
Frank
else.
Herbert podcast real fast, dude, because
exactly.
He was on another level, man.
Dude, for the time he wrote that book, it was like way ahead.
Oh yes.
And even now when you read it, you're kind of like, oh, makes sense now. And you know what? The funny thing is, I was having that talk with a buddy of mine at work about the 4th book, and we were talking this exact topic. It's like, you know what? I don't think he's going to do that. That one's not going to happen. It's going to stop.
It's going to be tough. The further they go, the more esoteric they get. I'm stealing someone's description, but
it's going to be
exactly it.
It's going to be hard just to make the Dune Messiah, the second one. Like, that's already touching on a lot. You know what I mean? With like Alita and everything that goes down with her, his sister. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's weird. It's weird shit.
It's weird. Yeah, I love it. No, dude, I'm
all about it.
People always make fun of me for how much I reference Dune in normal conversations, because Frank Herbert really did pull from like every religion when writing that book, right? And from like every history book. So that's why it resonates so heavily.
I guess to the point is that I hit on something in myself of, I started making music, and I was reading, God Emperor a lot, and also, and this is in all seriousness, I know we talk a lot about, the politics of today, or, things are so crazy and everyone feels like they're living in end times, but to see what was going on with society, and I could at least, with a straight face tell you now how much we've been manipulated as a society, as people over the past, 3-4 years, at least, that all the lessons about government and leaders and power and persuasion, and I could go on and on. It's all there, especially not only in the story, but it's almost calling to me to make songs about every one of the chapter starts. Like, they have a quote in front of each chapter.
They're the best.
Especially when you get to around book 3 and 4, the stuff in there is like, to me, it's like the most powerful stuff I've ever read, because it's a haiku version of what's in the rest of the book.
Yeah, and it's pulling from like from Celeste. So like I think it's in the first book or the second book. There's one of those starting quotes where it says like, the only thing that secures man's right to property is like the threat of violence or something like that. Like, I'm not memorizing it perfectly,
No,
but like
no, but
that
you're
line was
there.
like, I read that for the first time and I was like, what'd you just say? Like, and then you think about it for more than 2 seconds and you're like, holy shit, dude, that is how society
Oh, yeah.
operates. Like,
So,
and who really thinks that like consciously all the time? Not most people, right?
well,
No, he definitely was something. I will tell you that. I
So-
mean, his writing has just, for me, it also because it's very deep, very deep.
well, he's a well-read guy
Mhm.
himself, and it's crazy now since I know that and I absorbed it because, oh my God, I'm 13 and I read Dune for the first time and I love science fiction. Right, that was my in for that. Right. Funny story. I'm going to derail you here. I found it up in the second floor closet at the top of the stairs. Dune.
I know the pain and suffering. The golden path is not just about survival. It is about the evolution of humanity.